I had a bit of a sleep in, but I managed to catch the sort of last 10-15 minutes of the sun rising over a nice little Tailor spot here. I started flicking out the SSM Zipbait. Within the second cast I was on. Good little hit on the surface. I'm testing out the Nasky 5000 that I bought a few months ago. This is the first time I've actually got around to using it. I've paired that with my 9'2" Veritas 6 to 10 kilo, which has got a cast weight I think of around 20 gram to 60, so it's a good sort of all-rounder. Not a huge one, but a lovely one on the surface. I had the wind at my back too, which was great. Longer casts. It was probably about 5 or 6 casts later, and I was on to another good one. I apologise about my sleeve here ruining the footage, but this one was a little bit bigger and giving me a bit more stick, so I'm moving up the beach away from a bit of reef. The 5000 did pretty well, to be honest. I'll just fast forward this because my sleeve's in the way the whole time. Beautiful. Lovely Tailor on the surface. After things quieted down a bit, I thought I'd have a crack with one of my micro jigs. So I've got a 15 gram Jigpara here. I think it's like a reddy orange colour. I'm colourblind, but it's some sort of colour like that. I'm flicking it out on my Daiwa Hyper 8'6" rod. So this is rated 2 to 5 kilos. So I bought this for flatties, but I thought it'd be good to use off the beach with the micros. And I'm on. Couple casts later. Wasn't pulling on a lot, so I suspected it would have been a snook, and I was right. The snook were loving the triple flick up and pause, sort of like you would do with a squid jig. Just a little tack of this one, but there was plenty around, all ranging from that sort of like 25 to 40 centimetres. Here's another one. I make these weird grunting noises. Only problem with those micro jigs is that half the time you end up hooking yourself again, or the fish as you're retrieving the lure. After catching a few more on the micro, I thought I'd have a crack with a soft plastic, so I put on a, I'm not sure what it was. It was I think it was an old squidgy paddle tail, probably 100mm, and I had a 1/4 jig head. And actually, it's probably, maybe it was 3/8. I'm not sure. It was somewhere in between that range. But the wind was at my back, and there wasn't much weed around, so I was able to cast along this chunk of reef here. I was hoping to get, maybe a Tailor or a big chunky skippy. Usually skippy you probably go for a little bit smaller soft plastics around that sort of 3-inch mark. The old friend snook again. Great for bait collection if I had been doing that. They were bloody thick, these snook. Couldn't get away from them. I had a bit of S factor on there as well, so I think that was probably attracting them too. When this one hooked, I knew it wasn't a snook. Starting to pull a bit of string. Saw it breach out. It's a nice Tailor, probably around that sort of, you know, high 40s, 50 mark. Lovely on the light gear anyway. I think this was 10-pound braid and I only had 8-pound leader, which may be a bit of a problem. Bit straight through the bastard. Oh well, bit of fun. Lucky I caught a few other fish early in the morning, otherwise I would have been really spewing. When I got sick of catching snook, I went and grabbed the rod again. I swapped over the lures here. I put on the Monsoon Breaker. So this is a little bit of a heavier lure, and you can either fish the surface or let it sink down and fish just low on the water column. Now the sun's come up, the surface bite's sort of gone off a little bit. You still get surface bite, you know, any time of the day really, but generally I have better luck first thing in the morning with the surface bite. So with this lure you can literally just do a slow to medium retrieve or speed it up. It's quite versatile, it really darts around. There we go, I'm on. This fella fought pretty hard in the beginning, to be honest. Wasn't a lot of weight to him, but he had a lot of go. It made me think it was a lot bigger. Just got the rod more horizontal again. Thought he was a lot bigger, but he came in pretty quickly, to be honest. I soon noticed that the hook was the reason why he was swimming a bit funny. He didn't actually bite the lure. I've actually hooked him right through the head. I've got a 3.0 single hook on the back of my Monsoon Breaker, and he must have had a crack at it and it's just pierced him right through the head. He was alright though. He swam away. My wife was actually keen to have a feed of fish. She said because I caught them from the ocean she would have them. So I've filleted up these ones. I've just made an incision behind the fin there, and then I'll hold on to the back of the tail, make a small incision at the top of the fillet there, and just run this knife up the backbone. This isn't the perfect filleting knife, I'm just at my old man's here, so I'm just using his knife. It's really sharp, but usually you would do this with something with a little bit more flex, especially for this next bit where I'm just going to cut over the top of the rib bones here. You can just cut straight through them with this knife, and then just cut out the rib bone afterwards, but it gets a little bit more messy. So after filleting there, I'm just going to take out the whole of the bloodline. So usually you just take out that little section where you've still got those pin bones, but I'm going to take out the whole bloodline here. So I've cut all the way back, and then I just run the knife along the skin, and holding onto the skin at the back there to apply pressure. So that whole bloodline will now just pull straight out. I'll then clean up the fillet a little bit by chopping off a little bit of that red fast twitch muscle fibre. You can leave it on usually, but it looks a little bit nicer, and I'm not covering this in batter. It's pretty simple. Roll them in flour, lemon pepper, salt, and then I paired that with some salsa and some chipotle dip. I've got the full recipe in some of my earlier videos. For more Tailor or Perth Metro videos, please subscribe. Feel free to ask any questions in the comments section.